And we're back with some more LA Kings franchise mode. And in this one, I think we're going to go up to at least the trade deadline, because what we do at the trade deadline is going to be dependent on what our record is. If we're in a very good spot and we're clearly in the playoffs, then we won't make any moves. But if we're not, then we might have to trade guys like Ehlers and Manson, because they're on one-year deals. And when you take a look at who has a contract coming up, Mr. Keith Ho, and when you take a look at what he wants, it is rather unfortunate, I'll just say that. He wants nearly $10 million. Now, only for 2 years, so it's not that bad, but he also does not want to extend, so that means we're going to have to pay him more than what he wants. I'm not entirely sure if I want to pay that just yet. I guess we'll have to see how this season unfolds. But again, if we're a really good team, then I'm not going to be trading Ehlers and Manson. We're just going to, because we're going for the cup, right? So I want to keep on all the best players that we can. And if that means them walking off the team in the offseason, so be it. And before we start the season, I'll go over our lines once more. You have Olofsson, Turcotte, and Pasternak, and then Ehlers, Byfield, Ho, Velarde, Kopitar, and Kaliev, and then you have Lowry, Lawton, and Furland. Defensively, you have Kuhlman and Doughty, Manson and Clark, and Goulet and Spence. And in goal is Shesterkin and Markkanen. Scratched are Patan, Anderson, and Amadio. So with that being said, let us move up to, I'm going to say, once again, the trade deadline. So we're at the trade deadline now. I think we can move ahead. We're 36, 22, and 3. We're in third currently in our division. Now, granted, we're not that far ahead to the point where, we have a comfortable lead. But we should make the playoffs, especially with how we've been going recently with 7-2-1 in our last 10. Obviously not as good as last year, but still, we're good enough to the point where we should be able to have a solid playoff run and hopefully be able to repeat. Goals for per game, we're above 3. Goals against per game, we are, I believe, second. Yeah, we're second in the division. Power play, we're at a 20%, so we're in the top half. And as for the penalty kill, I believe we're at 82.7. That would leave us third in the division. So I think we're good. We can move on basically to the playoffs. And if that means we have to release guys like Ehlers and Manson in the offseason, then so be it. But if that means we have a chance at another cup, then once again, I'm okay with it, as long as we get that cup. And the good news is that Keith Ho seems to have drastically decreased his demand from what he was requesting before the season started. But unfortunately, Keith Ho has not had the greatest season, only 10 goals and 12 assists. I actually moved him down to the third line at one point. So I'm considering, I didn't want to trade him because he's good defensively. And I'll give him a year to get it together again. But I'm starting to consider whether Keith Ho is really a big part of our future or not. And it looks like he should be. He has all the attributes that he should be a shoe into the top 6, but he just really does not simulate well offensively, at least not this season. He hasn't. Last year had 44 punts on the third line, so I don't know what that's about, but he has definitely struggled this year. So I'll give him the benefit of the doubt, but once next year comes around and he's on his big boy contract, he needs to perform, for sure. And before we finish up the regular season, we'll take a look at the stats of everybody else. Pasternak, point per game. Turcotte, point per game. Olofsson, almost point per game, 56 points, 30 goals. Ehlers having a good season, 43 points in 61 games, 39 for Doughty, 38 for Byfield, 20 goals. Velarde with 30, Ho with 22, as we just saw. Spence with 22, Lowry with 21, Kaliev with 20, Kopitar with 19, Lawton with 17, Kuhlman with 16, Clark with 16, Furland with 14, Goulet with 10, Manson with 8. Amadio got in there for 8 games and actually got 6 points as well. And a goal, Shesterkin has played the majority of the games this season. He has a .912 save percentage in 52 games, and Markkanen with a .923 in 11. And we have finished the season 48, 30, and 4 with 100 points exactly. So let's check out all the stats, and then we'll wrap things up and move into the playoffs. Goals for per game, we are sitting at a 3.11. And goals against per game, we were sitting at 2.85. Power play slowed down as the year went on. 18.9 is what it's currently at. And the penalty kill is, all right, that's actually pretty good. 83.4, second in the division. And player stats, Pasternak with 84 points on the season, Turcotte with 80, Olofsson with 76, another 40-goal season for him. So he is back to where he was a couple years ago. Ehlers with 58, Doughty with 57, Byfield with 55, Velarde with 43, Kopitar with 32, Ho with 31. So once again, he struggled a lot this season, but it appears his overall action went up, so that's a bit curious, but hopefully he keeps growing. Kaliev with 30 points, Spence with 27, Clark with 26, Lowry with 24, Lawton with 20, Kuhlman with 19, Furlan with 17, Gooley with 12, Manson with 12, Amadio with 6 in 9 games played. And in goal, you have Shesterkin with 71 games played and a 911 save percentage, and Markkanen in 16 games with a 914. All right, I just have to say something here regarding scouting. This guy's been scouted 35 times this year, and we have almost nothing on him. How do you scout a guy 35 times and you have barely any solid concrete information on basically anything about him besides his weaknesses? I mean, yes, I have scouts on automatic right now, but still, that's no excuse for, 35 scouting trips to go this uneventful. I mean, that's just, this guy too, Holmberg. He's been scouted 39 times by the same scout, and that guy isn't even a bad scout either. He has an A- for his scouting grade. But for whatever reason, he is obsessed with these two players in particular. He has scouted Grant Holmberg 39 times, and yet we have basically the same amount of information on him as we have with Schumacher. I mean, oh, jeez, EA. And the NHL season is complete, and we have the Edmonton Oilers in round number 1. Whoopee. So anyway, as we take a look at the Edmonton Oilers, they obviously have Puljujarvi, Draisaitl, and Yamamoto. So McDavid's actually on the second line with Ritchie and Meyer. And they have Perlini, Cahoon, and Lievo. And then Foligno, Gauthier, and Maximov. On defense, they have Muzzin and Myers, Nurse and Bear, Ferraro and Savard. And in goal, they have Alnefeldt and Bishop. Scratched are Marody, Pooh, and Balsers. So obviously the defense isn't exactly the greatest, but just with Draisaitl and McDavid alone, they could obviously tear us apart. That being said, I think we'll end this one off here, and I'll see you guys in the next one when we, unfortunately, go up against the Edmonton Oilers in round number 1. See you guys then.